Want me to look
We
here?
are recording. Yeah, I guess I should probably go somewhere where it doesn't look too unnatural. So I'm going to go over here.
Sure.
So that you're looking at least approximately in my direction.
Camera is-
And I'm going to grab a pencil.
Okay.
So I've got something to take notes with. And as I say, don't worry about the fact that there's blather going on and, you know, oh, the camera isn't working.
Right.
You can either cut that out later or just leave it in. It doesn't
Right.
matter. All right, here we go. So thank you, Tina, for agreeing to be interviewed by us today for purposes of coming up with ideas and thoughts on the Cultural Master Plan. This interview will last approximately 20 to 30 minutes. We might interrupt you from time to time because we want to make sure we cover all of the questions, so please don't be offended if we cut you short on
No worries.
occasion.
Okay.
Thank you. So what we're doing here is trying to capture some ideas that wouldn't come up by doing a survey. So the purpose of doing the interviews is by listening to your stories. We will then capture the highlights and we'll mine that information across all of the up to 100 interviews that we're going to be doing. To come up with some amazing ideas. We've already come up with some amazing ideas that would never have come up from doing this. So it's a little bit of a different way of putting together a cultural master plan, but we're excited about it. I think it'll work really well. So the first question for me to ask you is, tell us a bit about what you do for a living and for recreation, including any artistic and cultural activities that you participate in.
Okay. So I'm in the network marketing industry. That's how I make my money. I sell botanical skincare and color, and I build teams and teach them how to do that. That's primarily where the revenue comes from. I also lead a workshop here on Bowen Island called Live Your Best Story. And the work that I do there is building a platform for a blog that I'm writing called Tina O Life, and I'm building a speaking and writing next part of my career.
That's very interesting. So it's about story, it's about narrative.
It's about story, it's about your life as story, it's about what I'm the live part of Live Your Best Story. And in Tina O Life, having just come through cancer treatment, I'm in this place of really looking at what does living mean to people, and deeper than just live in the present, which, and I don't mean to dismiss that, but there's so much more than inspirational wall art living. That's what my husband calls it, right? So it's like, what are the roots to some of that inspirational wall art, and how is it more applicable? Just because I think we live in a world where we're kind of grasping for inspirational things to lift us, but there isn't a lot of practical how-tos. And then there's the expert industry that has lots of how-tos, but without any roots. So it's kind of where art, I would say, really, it's like bringing the creative mind and art into practicality that people seem to be really hungry for.
Great. Are there particular artistic activities that you participate in?
Yeah, I'm trained in theater. I'm trained as an actor, and but really where I find freedom is in writing. So it's with words and speaking. So I'm more of a performance artist, I suppose, than actor. I'm not really an actor. I just I'm good in front of people, and I'm good speaking.
I hope I don't follow you on the Pecha Kucha agenda.
We'll
That'll be
see.
a hard act to follow. You're a pro at this.
We'll see.
All right. Can you tell us the story of one of your most memorable cultural or artistic experiences on Bowen Island, either as performer, participant, amateur, or audience member?
Sure. That would be the Bowen on Broadway a couple of years ago. And the reason why I loved that so much is, one, I hadn't been on stage in a long time, and I was worried that being on Bowen Island with a bunch of artists, that would I be accepted? Is it, am I part of the club?
Right.
You know, there's that sort of artist thing, artists are this, and if you're not in the club, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And
was this at Tiernanog?
This was at Tiernanog.
Right.
And what I loved a lot of things about it, but one of them was there isn't a club. and that so I could get in and accept it. Like I was comfortable right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really loved that there was multiple levels of experience on stage, and at the same time, sometimes community events bug me because people are afraid to push the envelope and raise the bar, and that didn't happen. So there were people that were way out of their comfort zone, and we just kept. Gil Yaron, who was the director, just kept raising the bar, and people just kept stepping in. And
so you had to sing too?
Yeah, and I had to sing. And I've sung my whole life, but it feels very private now.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and it was a beautiful experience to do that. And it was sold out. We were sold out, and there's always that fear in events that people won't come, and I know that kind of just goes with the territory.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful to see that it was sold out, and that people wanted more. And we probably could have done another weekend, but there isn't enough space on the island, so we couldn't do another weekend.
Okay. Yeah. So Tirnanog was booked beyond that?
Tirnanog was booked beyond that, yeah. And then you're dealing with, 30 people on stage, so you got to deal with everybody's schedules too. So it's kind of the messiness.
We're that a lot.
Yeah.
Full space still.
Yeah, totally.
We're still running?
We're still running, yeah.
Right. So what would you say, you mentioned a couple, what would you say is the greatest challenge you feel as an artist here in Bowen? Since there's no club.
Oh, well, I would say as an artist, a hub, I would say. Like there's a perceived hub on Bowen. There's a perceived Bowen Island Arts Council is the hub for artists, but really it feels very spread out, and it feels like everyone that knows stuff, but people who don't know stuff, you can't know it till you meet people who know stuff.
Right. So it's not knowing who knows.
Not knowing who knows, and I don't. Oh boy, I hope this doesn't come across hard. But the other part is there's this. You have to dig into the organized stuff in order to get in. And what do I mean by that is I love the organic process of art, and yet the organic process of art means that you're separate from the establishment.
Right.
And yet it's the organic stuff that makes things so alive. And so I feel like on Bowen we speak two languages. We either speak, I'm on my own, I'm independent, I'm an artist, and there's lots of room for me to express, blah, 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 but I'm over here in my corner and you can't find me.
Yeah.
Or I'm part of the establishment, and that's such a big, heavy word, but I'm part of the Bowen Island Arts Council, and this is how it gets done at the Bowen Island Arts Council. And I'm hungry. Yeah.
Where is that?
I feel like that. And really that came from that thing that Carol said about, it was actually about, it had nothing to do with art. It was about fundraising. And it was that thing about, trying to get people to volunteer to fundraise, but they're all over 65.
Right.
And to me, that locks art in a box.
Yeah.
Like, well, now we're in the box called we're over 65, or now we're in the box only people who have time, or now we're in the box that. Yeah. And for me, this is where I think the two languages come in. For me, I have an experience or a belief, not an experience, I have a belief that Bowen Island is arts connected,
right.
But I have an experience of Bowen Island is arts separate. Bunch of little islands of people doing what they do. And I'm looking for the middle.
Right.
Because for me, that's where the magic happens. That's where the mess happens.
Yeah, it's amazing that a small island can have that separation. You kind of figure we're all in this together. That's what really impressed me about Salt Spring. We were in Salt Spring last weekend.
Okay.
A bunch of us went over and finding him for Bowen in transition.
Yeah.
But we had this sense that despite the fact that it's 10,000 people instead of 3,800,
yeah,
they've got it together. Like they're networked in ways that I think we aren't.
Right.
So that's interesting. When you are at your most creative, what do you do?
Oh, wow. When I'm at my most creative, I'm in the story.
Okay.
So sometimes that shows up. I'm in the writing process. And
Right.
sometimes that shows up. I'm in a workshop process and I'm leading a workshop or speaking, and I'm off book. So
Right.
if
So
I'm on
you're-
book, it's not.
Yeah. So you're just on.
Yep.
Yeah. I know that feeling. That's great. What is holding you back more than anything else from participating or attending more creative and artistic activities?
Hockey. I'm a hockey mom.
All right. So it's time.
You know what? It's time, and it's also exhaustion of just life being so full, and yeah, and
I was a hockey dad. How old is the? Are the hockey
14
players?
and 12, and then the 6-year-old now wants to start stick and
Oh,
puck.
Are they all
to
boys?
get going. They're all boys.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So I guess
Yeah.
you would say the balance. It's time, but it's the balance between what's required off island and the coming back. That it's not like they go to play hockey on Bowen and or like
Right.
the soccer field and it's a 1-hour deal. It's a 4-hour deal
Yeah, for
to
sure.
do that.
Yeah.
Easy access then too, you could also say.
Yeah, the big transition is when they get to drive the car themselves and they don't want you there anymore. What will
Jeez.
happen then? Yeah.
Wow.
I'll drive them to the game and we'll be back by midnight for
Right.
sure.
Right.
That's a big change. When you think of arts and culture on Bowen, what person or what place comes to mind first?
Tiernanog came first, and then the gallery.
Any person comes to mind as being the personification of art and culture?
Wow, personification of art and culture. That's interesting. I had a couple of thoughts. My immediate thought went to David, like David and Jackie. And then it went to Sheila McKinnon.
Wow.
Very different way of looking at arts and culture. You know, I remember being, this is off topic, but not at all. It's almost like when I discovered acting, it was because that's what I could see.
Yeah.
Not because I knew arts and culture could be anything else. That was my first experience. So the immediate goes to, performance is easy, David. But when I think of the heart of arts and culture, I think of Sheila McKinnon.
Wow.
With big, wide arms open to all conversations, wherever they may go.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is the essence of it for me.
Not just delivering sermons.
Yeah, totally. It's the
Wow.
heart of it.
Yeah. The heart of art.
The heart of art. Ooh, that's good for Bowen.
Uh-huh.
We're the heart of art.
Yes. Culturally, what do you think most differentiates us from Vancouver?
That we have a fierce drive, passion, honoring of solitude,
Right.
which lends itself beautifully to the artistic process, not always to connectivity, but there's space here. There's space here to listen. Like there's, you know what I mean by space, like,
Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
Yep.
fierce about it. And we can be a little intellectual about it too.
In what sense?
And miss the point, like become talking, well, I certainly know I can, but I see it a lot on Bowen. You know, there's really, really sharp people that live here. I'm not saying they don't live in Vancouver, but boy, oh boy, you put 10 people from any walk on Bowen, and at least, 8 of them are going to be really big heads with big thoughts, and it's fascinating. One of the first things I noticed when we moved here is like, wow, I can really talk to people here.
Yeah.
Get into stuff
That's fascinating.
here.
That's almost the opposite of my experience when I moved to Bowen.
Really?
We'll have to talk about that.
Okay,
another time.
okay.
That's interesting. I certainly never thought of Bowen as being intellectually intimidating.
Right.
I guess it's true that I think I can talk to a larger percentage of people about big topics instead of small talk. There's a hell of a lot of small talk on Bowen.
Yeah, there is. There is.
And gossip.
Yeah, there is. That's true.
All right. When did you arrive on Bowen?
6 years ago.
And since then, in terms of our culture, what's changed the most, or what do you think is in the process of changing the most?
Well, I still consider myself pretty young on Bowen, oddly.
You are
I know.
on Bowen.
I know, because I'm not 15 years in.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure how to track that, but I would say what's become most kind of what seems to be the heaviest or fiery or whatever, the big charge is around this conversation of an arts center. And I don't know that that's changed so much as when I first got here, I was very clear that this was a big topic that everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
And now I see that this is a big topic there's lots of resignation about. And that it appears to be really stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how to. I don't know that that's a Bowen thing or just because I've only been here 6 years.
No, I think that's. I've been here 5, and I got the same.
Okay.
I've got the same impression.
Okay.
And reading the 2002 plan when it was all about we're going to make this happen in the next few years.
Yeah.
And looking back at it, I think that's pretty accurate. Is there a particular type of artistic or cultural activity you'd like to learn more about if you only knew who to ask and had the time and energy to make up another one?
Modern dance.
Okay.
Dance space. Yep.
Do you know if you had the time and energy, would you know where to go about it, or would you?
Yeah, like I know that Gail Lotenberg teaches dance, and I think, you know what I think it is? I'm just going to speak really candidly here. I think it's because everything seems to be connected to, maybe I might just become a parent and I've got 3 kids, but to recreation. So there's, it's easy to access what's available from the place of, I dance for exercise.
Right.
But where do we go to say, I dance to dance, and not to dance to boogie, but where do I go to dance to express?
Yeah, it's a different mindset, isn't it, when you read the recreation master plan compared to the cultural master plan.
And the tone is, like, the tone sets up how it's received and how I then act.
It's a different culture.
Yeah.
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 For sure.
Yeah.
In a few words, what brought you to Bowen Island, and what would you most miss if you had to leave?
Space brought us to Bowen.
That's what you missed.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Brought us to Bowen, and I would miss. I could never leave. I don't know that I will ever leave. I really don't. It feels like this is to me. This is what home is supposed to feel like. I often joke, I live here because I can wear my pajamas when I go to the store.
Yeah.
Right? Like I live here because when I forget my kids' lunch, I can run down to the ferry and I can throw it and someone will catch it and take it to my kid on the boat.
Yeah.
And to me, that's freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It fascinates me. I expected people to answer this question by saying the people.
Right.
And hardly anybody has said the people.
Wow.
So it's amazing to me. It's very British to me that people think about the solitude and the culture and the natural beauty and stuff like that first, and not the people. They kind of have a love-hate relationship with other Bowen Islanders. It's really interesting.
Small communities, right?
Yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts about Bowen's artistic or creative needs, strengths, opportunities, or ideas about our cultural development? You mentioned the fact we need a performing arts center.
We need a performing arts center. We do. We need a performing arts center. We just do, plain and simple. And not because I'm an actor, but because we need one. And there's places for people to, where do people go to embody art? People can paint in their house. People can sing in their house. People can have salons. But where do we go to embody art in relationship to other people. Where do we
Right.
do that? Right now, you do it at the gym. You do it in, which does not feel like art. It carries the energy of sweaty kids.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have it, but
Yeah.
it has a different feel. Or we go to the gallery, which has the energy of visual arts, which is quieter. Where do we go to be loud? Where do we go for that? For the messiness of art for people like me. For people like me, where art is expression and it's physical. Where does that happen?
Other than eat, drink, paint.
Eat, drink, paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not big enough for me. I need bigger space.
Anything else? What else are we missing?
What else are we missing?
If you had $1 million.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I want things on this island that we can rely on. Like when I got so excited when I knew that we once had a writers' festival, and I know that it's the beauty of how these kind of things come about is they're championed by one person who wants to do something, and there's something beautiful in that we're here to support what the community wants to do. But it's hard to have a legacy of events or a legacy of impact from events unless certain events happen all the time.
Right.
And we can grow writers if we have a writers festival or an annual writers festival, or if we had an annual film festival or an annual whatever dance, whatever, but something that is reliable, so that people go, yeah, this is the arts this is the spine of the arts in our community, where I see it, I experience it, and I can share it.
Yeah.
It'll bring people from off island here. It could grow on the island, and then we can take it off island. But it's this idea of a spine of, yes, this, you can see us from space. You can see art from space on Bowen because we have a couple of annual events.
Yeah.
I would love that. Because it's about consistency and reliability, and then with that, it feels like the arts feel like a member of the family and not a distant cousin.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. How did I clock? 20 minutes?
Click the red button.
Oh, click the red button. Oh, 22 minutes. Look at that.
Just right about in the middle.
This hour has 22 minutes.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it says recording, but it's... Oh no, it's not. Click the red button, Overbury.
Off.
Oh, I'm touching it instead of, oh my gosh.